Hello and welcome back to another episode of my random Formula 1 things of the double points finale. My name is Alex Does F1 Stuff, and in this episode we'll be covering the next 5 seasons in the list, those from 19... what has gone on there. I guess I just didn't animate those last couple digits. We will be covering those years from 1955 to 1959, so if you haven't seen the the first episode of this, I'll pop a little card in the corner to that, where I basically spoke about how this idea came about, and then we went over the first 5 seasons from 1950 to 1954 and found that it didn't work. Basically, the whole premise of this series is taking each season and making the last race a double points finale like it was in 2014. So without further ado, I guess we will jump straight on into the very first season of this episode, and that will be 1955, where we saw Fangio claim his 3rd Formula 1 world title in the official Formula 1 World Championship. Yep. How will he fare in the double points finale version? So round 1 in Argentina, Fangio comes out with a victory, with Gonzalez, who did actually finish P2, scores 2 points, with Nino Farina, the very first world champion, scoring 3.3 points in 3rd. Now the point system should go 9, 6, 4, 3, 2. However, if you end up swapping and sharing a car to finish, you end up splitting the points with other drivers that you swapped the cars. So say you crashed but then your teammate hopped into you hopped into your teammate's car, your teammate would still get some of the points forever you finished. Hopefully that makes sense. That's why loads of people who have got points here, and Gonzalez, who technically finished P2 behind Fangio, only got 2 points, whereas Farina got 3.3 by being 3rd. It does take a little bit of getting used to. So we then head to Monaco, where I hate this name a lot. Trintignant scores a victory in Monaco, scoring 8 points, with Castelletti in 2nd scoring 6, and Jean Berra scoring 2 points. I'm fairly sure this was Prince Berra before, so something must have happened to him where he didn't become a prince. I don't exactly know. And as always, I actually forgot to say, everyone that has a bright colour, their name that's not just a shade of grey, they finish in the top 5 of the championship overall. I would colour them by team so you can keep a track of them, but as there's about 64 bajillion Ferraris, Mercedes, Maseratis and all sorts, I can't just colour them all in the same colour. Or colour them by team, because the top 4 would all be the same and it's difficult to track driver movements. That was such a long-winded explanation. Anyway, we moved to round number 3, which is the Indy 500. Still no Formula 1 drivers take part, so our list almost doubles. We have a victory for Sweeckert, and then Batenhausen and Russo in 2nd and 3rd, but these names will not come up later in the season. Round 4 is Belgium at Spa, with Fangio getting his 2nd victory of the season, scoring 9 points, ahead of Sterling Moss, the recently passed Sterling Moss, who got 2nd place scoring 6, and Nino Farina scoring 4. And I've just realised I have failed to highlight Castelletti in the last year for the Indy 500 and also Monaco. Whoops. So taking a look to the second half of the season, where Fangio has a sizable lead, and the Netherlands, he just extends that over Moss. It is now 13 points to Moss after he scores another victory, with Moss in P2, and Musso gets 3rd place scoring 4 points. Where does he start? Oh, he's way down the order. So Fangio is on the brink of actually winning his 3rd, it would be, Formula 1 World Championship. But as we move to Britain, he actually doesn't outscore Moss. Moss gets a victory in Britain. Oh my god, what am I saying? Moss comes away with a victory for Britain, scoring 9 points, with Fangio scoring 6 and Kling in 3rd scoring 4. So Fangio now has a 10-point lead over Moss and a 10.7 lead over Trintignant in the Ferrari. So for the final round, Moss has to beat Fangio by a considerable amount of points. If at the moment Fangio finishes in the points, that will be it. So we head to the final round in Italy, and Fangio comes away with a victory. So no, it has not worked in 1955. As we move to 1956, let's see if this one works. So we'll jump straight to the first round, which again sees some very confusing points. I'll go through the order. So the first round in Argentina sees Musso claim first with Fangio second and Berra fifth, what the heck? Why I can't talk today. So Musso wins from Fangio and Berra, however Musso scored 4, Fangio 5 and Berra 6. So Berra did the whole race, whereas Fangio and Musso must have swapped cars halfway through to get less points, even though they technically won the race. And moving to round 2 in Monaco, Moss comes away with a victory scoring 8 points, Peter Collins scores 3 and Fangio scores 4. So we have Berra, who also scored in that race as well, taking the lead of the championship by 1 point from Fangio and Moss. As we move to the Indy 500 now, again, names that won't ever pop up here again. Flaherty gets a victory from Hanks and Freeland. I'm really struggling to talk. But Berra still maintains his championship lead from Fangio and Moss. As we take a look towards Belgium now, Peter Collins gets his first victory from Freire and Perdiza, scoring 8, 6 and 2 for the top 3 points. So Moss and Collins are now joint first with 11 points, with Berra on 10 and Fangio on 9. So round number... what round are we at? I'm not sure. Round France. Peter Collins gets his second victory in a row after Belgium, with Castelletti in second and Berra third. So Collins now overtakes Berra for first with 19 points, 5 points clear from Berra and 6 points clear from Fangio. As we head to Great Britain, Fangio actually scores a victory this time, his first of the season, as he scores 8 points with Deportago and Peter Collins sharing second place as they did a car swap, scoring 3 each, with Berra in third scoring 4. Collins does hold on to his championship lead, however it is now only 1 point. As we move to the penultimate round of the 1956 season in Germany, Juan Manuel Fangio scores another victory from Moss in P2 and Berra third. So Fangio now takes an 8-point lead from Collins, an 8-point lead from Berra, and a 12-point lead from Moss. And as you can see at the bottom there, Godier has just popped on with 3 points scored. So with the final round, there are still a lot of people in contention. If Fangio finishes in the points, he should do quite well. But remember, it is a double points episode and anything can happen. As we move to the final round in Italy, Moss comes away with a victory scoring 18 points. Collins and Fangio score second place, scoring 6 each, with Flockhart scoring 8. This does leave Fangio and Moss on identical points on 36 each. They also had the same number of wins as well. They both had 2 wins this season. However, Fangio beats Moss simply because he had more top 3 finishes. So 1956, the closest season to my idea actually working. If Fangio hadn't have been second, Moss would have actually claimed a Formula 1 World Championship and my idea would have finally worked. But as it stands, it is still a no, it did not. So let's have a look at 1957. This was a little bit more of a cutthroat season for Fangio. So he starts the year in Argentina with a victory from Berra and Mendit Guy as well, scoring 8, 6 and 4, taking a 2-point lead. And at Monaco he scores another victory, and by round 2 he already has an 11-point lead. This is already a race victory over people, and it's round 2. The Indy 500 is next. It's kind of pointless to go over this. France is next then after that, with Fangio taking his third victory of the season, scoring 8 points, Musso 7, Collins 4, as Fangio takes a 17-point lead from Hanks. As we take a look towards the second half of the season, in Britain, Brooks and Moss actually share the victory. So Moss gets another victory at his home Grand Prix. Musso second, and Hawthorn on the podium as well in third. However, Fangio still maintains his championship lead with 12 points from Musso. Going to Germany now, Fangio bags himself another victory and 9 points to his name. He now moves to within 18 points clear of Musso and 21 clear from Hawthorn. As we move to the penultimate round in Pescara, Moss comes away with a victory, Fangio P2 and Shell third. But as you can see, Fangio has officially won the championship as he is now 24 points clear with a maximum of 18 left available. So regardless of what happens in the last round in Italy, Fangio has still won. And in Italy, Moss ends up coming away with a victory, but Fangio is in P2 scoring 12 points from Von Trips, who scores 8. So again, it didn't work in 1957, still hasn't worked overall at all. Fangio is a 4-time Formula 1 world champion. No, I tell a lie, he's a 5-time Formula 1 world champion at this point. So let's have a quick run through of 1958, the first year that a Brit won the Formula 1 world championship with Mike Hawthorn. And I haven't animated it. Oh, good job me. Well, I've started, so let's just finish, as some quiz shows go on and say. Moss gets a victory in Argentina, Trintingent gets a victory in Monaco, Moss gets another victory in the Netherlands, and the Indy 500 is won by a man called Brian. So by round 4, Moss has a 5-point lead over Musso, a 9-point lead over Trintingent, and a also 9-point lead over Shell. So let's have a look towards the second half of the season. Oh, thank God I have actually managed to animate this one. So Belgium, Brooks scores a victory as well in this season from Hawthorn and Evans, but Moss maintains his lead with 4 points from Hawthorn. As we move to France, Hawthorn bags his first victory, scoring 9 points with Moss in second and Von Trips third. Moss's lead has now come down to 1 point. However, Moss and Hawthorn are both 10 points clear from Musso. They're forming a nice little battle at the top of the field. Britain is next, and Peter Collins scores a victory, a home victory as well, from Hawthorn in second and Salvadori in fourth. So Hawthorn takes the championship lead for the first time, 6 points clear from Moss. And in Germany, Brooks takes another victory of the season, scoring 8 points, Salvadori in second scoring 6, and Trintingent scoring 4. Hawthorn's lead is now 5 points from Moss, and 13 points from Brooks. As we take a little look towards the second part of the season, Portugal is up next, and Moss scores a victory, closing the gap to Hawthorn to 4 points, as they are now 16 clear from Brooks. So it is still all to play for, as Moss and Hawthorn are very close. As we go to Italy, the penultimate round, and Brooks scores another victory with Hawthorn second and Hill fifth. How am I doing this? Hill is third, scoring 5 points, but that is Phil Hill, the American, neither of the Graham or the Damons. So with 10 points separating the top 2 drivers, Moss needs to get a victory and outscore Hawthorn by 10 points if he is to win his very first Formula 1 World Championship. But as we move to Morocco, the double points finale, Moss does actually end up winning, but Hawthorn is P2 and secures himself the Formula 1 World Championship. So no, it didn't work in 1958 either. How about 1959, the final season of this episode? It was a season which saw Jack Brabham actually be crowned the Formula 1 World Championship. This episode sucks. So we start the round off in Monaco as Brabham bags himself a victory, scoring 9 points with Brooks second and Trintingent third. The Indy 500 is next. We'll just skip straight over that, with the Netherlands, with Bonnier actually scoring a victory and Brabham in second, but he maintains his lead and is now 7 points over Ward. As we move to round 4 in France, Brooks bags another victory. He's been very consistent, this Brooks character, but he does have, when he finishes a race, he usually does quite well. However, he's not particularly, I've just contradicted myself there. Anyway, Brabham's lead is now 5 points from Brooks in the Ferrari and over 10 points now back to Hill. Britain is up next and Brabham scores a victory there with Moss second and Bruce McLaren actually gets third place, scoring 4.5 points for the Cooper team. But Brabham's lead is now 13 points and he is almost there to still securing his very first Formula 1 World Championship. As we move to Germany, which is the next round up, I believe we're on round 6. I need to structure these a lot more. But Brooks comes away with another victory with Dan Gurney in second and Phil Hill third. Brabham's lead has actually come down to 4 points now from Brooks. Brooks is on his way to actually overtaking the Australian. Portugal is next up on this list and Moss bags a victory here with Gregory in second and Dan Gurney in third. The lead to Brabham is still 4 points, with Moss just sneaking in to be 10.5 points behind the Australian. Okay, I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but for some reason I've got Germany on a second time. Must not have been concentrating too much, but we'll move on to the penultimate round of the championship, which is Italy, which sees Moss come away with a victory, Phil Hill second and Brabham third. The gap is now 6.5 points behind, with Moss in second and Brabham still leading the way. So it is still a fairly open championship with 4 drivers still in contention. However, in the United States, the very first United States Grand Prix, Bruce McLaren comes away with a victory, scoring 16 points. Trentingent gets 14 and Brooks 8, but Brabham scoring 6 does enough to secure himself the very first Formula 1 World Championship for himself. So no, it still didn't work. And my god, I need a drink, a little bit of a lie down, and to just sort of go over my thoughts, because that was just all over the place. I might look at some sort of structure for this, because that was genuinely just spew some information out and hope for the best with some tables that didn't quite work and there weren't many animations and well, hopefully it worked out quite well. Who knows? I haven't edited it yet. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and I will catch you in the next video, whatever I decide to make, and I will see you in that one.